Welcome back to the channel, Bridging the Gap, Student to Engineer, where STEM professionals provide advice to students. So this is our first uh, review of data for school, now that we're getting back into the channel. And what I wanted to do was to go back to some of the schools that looked the most promising the last time we were looking at data. Every year, the schools publish new information, and so the numbers are gonna keep changing. We're hearing a lot about disruption of industries, disruption of grads' ability to get jobs, disruption of entire job markets. So I wanted to just look at a school that had great results last time. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with Purdue University. This is updated for 2025. We'll go through the same data that we had before and see if Purdue's results have held out through all of the things that are going on in the world. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, put the notification bell on. You'll start receiving notifications when we post more of these videos. And then also leave a comment for the schools that you are looking for yourself, for your kids. And we'd like to hear what you're looking at, if you need any help. I get a lot of direct comments or messages from parents especially, and I'm always happy to answer questions. So please leave those questions and we'll get back to you. Let's get right into it. Purdue makes its data available on its first destination survey data dashboard. This is a dynamic dashboard. It's the same dashboard we looked at last time we looked at their data. So we're able to pretty quickly compare against what we had before. And also on a number of their pieces of data, they have a 5-year trend. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get right to it, starting with the plans after graduation. So on each of these, I'm going to have to filter for the School of Engineering, and then we'll just look at the data. So the last time we looked at Purdue's data was for the 2022 school year. You can see, if you just look graphically here, the gold, the dark gold is employed, and then this lighter gold is continuing education. So those 2% together are really what you want to see at a higher percentage, so as close as 100% as you can. They also have another category that typically is about 2% on most of the years. So it's really the gray, the dark gray and the light gray are the negative outcomes, if we want to look at it that way. So the last time we looked at Purdue's data, we said, wow, this is a great school. It's amazing. They have about 2% of their engineering grads in the year 2022 were still looking for employment or still looking for school. As you can see on this trend line, that was actually the pretty much the top performance that the school had in engineering. Before that, 2020 was COVID. There was a larger percent of students who were graduating still looking for employment. But the last year of data that's available is 2024. This is typical for all schools. So we do new videos when new data comes out, but it's definitely delayed. Part of that is because the data is taken 6 months after graduation. So it is not late enough in the year at the time of this video to even get the 2025 data. But let's just look at 2024 and see what's available. Purdue has gone from about 2% of their graduates in engineering looking for work to 11%. If you also add the percent that are seeking education, you get about 12% that do not have successful outcomes. This to me is a pretty huge drop. And so I started digging into it, looking at what is going on. Is this for specific majors? Where are we seeing this? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a few filters on here so you can see as an example the different majors. So this list that I've just pulled up shows you all of the engineering majors that Purdue offers, and at least what they're showing on their dashboard. So I'm going to just go to aero and astro engineering. Before I click on this, Purdue is known for aerospace and aero and astro engineering. They provided the first and the last astronauts on the moon. They have more astronauts than any other school, I believe. So it's a big deal. When we get over to top 25 employers in the top industries, what you'll see is that the aerospace industry is the largest employer from Purdue grads. Having said that, if we look at the 2024 grads from Purdue that majored in aero and astro engineering, 17% are still seeking employment. I am going to provide a link to the video that we have on aerospace engineering and why we recommend not majoring in it. There's a lot of reasons for that. This number right here is an indication of why it is that maybe it's good to consider a different major. Just quickly, the reason for that is because this major is specific to an industry, and while a lot of people say, well, it's mechanical with a few extra classes, I've heard that a lot, it is specific for an industry. So if the industry goes up or down, you're writing that industry specifically, where if you get a degree in mechanical or electrical or materials, all of those majors are needed within the industry, and they may be a better way for you to get into the industry, particularly if you're going to a school that hires a lot of people into that, a lot of students into that industry specifically. So I've just pulled up the aero and astro. There are a lot of other majors here. What I'm gonna do is just verbally tell you the majors that have the worst outcomes and the best outcomes. So since we're on aero and astro, they've got the 17% seeking employment. Computer engineering is at 23%. We were hearing a lot about that with the disruption of the tech industry. 23% of computer engineering major graduates from Purdue still looking for work definitely is the highest that we see that is an issue. But also electrical, mechanical, chemical, and even biomedical are all kind of higher. Electrical, mechanical, 12 and 15%. Chemical and biomed, 7%. So not horrible, but still bigger than the 2% we saw last time. In contrast to that, if you look at some of these other majors and what their outcomes are, I'm just going to click for nuclear and show you that. What I want to also refer you to is the nuclear engineering video that we've done talking about the outcomes for that industry, that major, and why it might be a good opportunity at this point. Timing is really good for looking at nuclear engineering. So you can see there's no dark silver on here, but there are a few students that are still seeking education, or excuse me, one student seeking education. Nuclear is always a very small school within larger engineering schools. But other majors, I'll just click back over here. Other majors with really good outcome rates, civil engineering is at 98% positive. Construction is at 100% positive outcomes. Environmental and ecological engineering, 2%. That may have changed now that it's 2025. It's a little bit hard to tell, but there have been a lot of changes in that industry. So I'll hold my judgment there. Industrial engineering is a 4%, or 96% positive, also good. Interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary and materials, all really good outcomes that were in alignment with what we saw at Purdue previously. So definitely important to understand that the major you're looking or going into can impact what happens when you graduate. So now that we've looked at percent of students that have positive outcomes, I'm going to go back to what they display first, which is their Their income, so this is the average salary for new grads. It has continued to go up, although the increase has dropped off after the big difference between 21 and 22. But 80% as an average is excellent. That shows that employers are really interested in Purdue grads and are willing to pay for them. So if we go to employment locations by state, again, I'm going to filter for engineering before we start discussing the numbers. But if you just look at this, Purdue grads go everywhere. Purdue grads are all over the US. And if you're going to be somewhere, there are going to be Purdue grads there. For a state school to have their state where they're located have the most grads makes a lot of sense, although the numbers for other states compared to Indiana are still very large. Lots of grads are going to Illinois, Texas, Ohio, California. Some of the states that we see typically attract a lot of grads, like the Texas, Washington, and California, all are well represented here. In addition, there are quite a number of grads that are going to Arizona and Pennsylvania and New York. So good distribution and definitely good opportunities all over the US if you have a Purdue degree. Next, I'm going to go to top industries. So I mentioned this earlier, and what you're going to see when I filter for engineering is that aviation, airline aviation and aerospace has the most grads, is hiring the most grads from Purdue engineering. So then we've also got manufacturing and machinery. There's a lot of discussion right now about manufacturing coming back in the US. There are a lot of manufacturing opportunities in the area surrounding Indiana and within Indiana. So good opportunity to get into that if you're interested. When we're talking engineering services, that is frequently small consulting firms that do just engineering. But if you look through here, definitely a lot of different options. One thing I will point out is that if you were looking at a school like in Texas or some other places where there's a heavy oil and gas presence, this energy, oil and gas would be much higher on the list. So if that's something that you're interested in, then Purdue may not be your first choice, but that doesn't mean that you wouldn't be able to go into it. Okay, then I'm going to go over to the top employers and we'll see why aviation is the top here. So we've got Boeing and SpaceX and Northrop Grumman being the 3 of the top 4 employers for Purdue grads. But you also see, Intel, Eli Lilly is a pharmaceutical company, Caterpillar doing construction equipment. So there's a pretty good distribution of large companies here that are hiring a lot of Purdue grads. I will point out that Saudi Aramco, which is the Saudi Arabian oil company, makes the top here for engineering grads. Not a US-based company, but definitely very interested in Purdue grads. So the last thing we're going to look at is the internship data. So again, filtering for engineering, we will see what we get for the engineering data. Something that Purdue always has impressive numbers for is the percent of grads that have had an internship. So 88% of grads have had some sort of work experience. And it's nice that they show you the number of work experiences that grads have had. When I am hiring new grads, I really don't like to see applicants that have no work experience. 1 work experience is better than nothing, but if you can get 2 or 3, that is great. What that means, though, is that you've got to go get a job after your sophomore year and after your junior year. That's where you'll get those 2 work experiences. You can try to get a job after your freshman year, That'll definitely give you the 3 or more opportunities. But there are some companies that don't hire after freshman year, or it might be a little bit more difficult because you haven't gotten into your major classes yet. But definitely something to look into. And if you have those opportunities, then definitely go for them. The average hourly wage for an internship, $24. That's about what we're seeing at most schools. Nothing too big or too small there. But when you're looking at how you can pay for school, understanding that you can go out and make $24 an hour for your summer is something that you can calculate into how much it's going to cost you to be at school. The map here shows that interns can go all over the place. There's a, not as large of a distribution as where grads go, but definitely students going to different places in the US. And the internship modality is something that probably would never have been on here pre-COVID. And we're seeing the remote percent going down. Hybrid is still strong, but if you're looking for an internship, you'll probably have something that's going to be on site. As we have looked at Purdue's data, we see that it is significantly different than the last time we looked at this with the data 2 years ago. Still really strong performance in a number of different majors. But as we start looking at the results from different schools, we'll see if this is a pattern everywhere or if this is just Purdue. At this point, I'm expecting that it is a pattern and that Purdue is still performing given everything else that's going on. So always a good option for Purdue if it's something that's an opportunity for you and you can make it work. But we'll continue to do these videos, and please let us know what you'd like to see, and we'll see you on the next one.